Alright, so we're back with another video today, and this deck particularly was taken from the TLG meta report that came out today. This is the tier 1 deck. This is the best deck in the game right now, and I believe, I believe in their opinion. I think that's valid. Now, Syndicate is definitely one of the least played factions, especially with new players, so the purpose of this video is to help if you're a new player to Gwent, understand this deck and be able to play this deck, because you want to be able to take advantage of what's really strong right now to help climb the ladder and get through those early ranks and potentially in the pro ranks. So we'll go through it here. Magic Lamp is just a really good, 5 points on the board. It's a proactive play because the deck lacks a lot of proactivity, so it definitely helps. A lot of our deploy engines are already very tall in terms of base power, so we don't really want to boost them with like a tactical advantage or a crystal skull or anything of that sort, so it does make a lot of sense to have Lamp here. Oneiromancy is an echo card. This is going to help with our deck consistency, thinning out the deck and getting a lot of the good cards that we need towards the end of the game, so we have the ability to play any card from the deck. So we can choose exactly what we need at any given time and play that card. Now, Jacques is just a really good tempo swing. With this, ideally you want to play it in round 2 or round 3 to get the full effect of it. It's going to play for 12 points, right? It's going to have Jacques, it's going to spawn 2 of the Flaming Rose Footmen later on. And this is really going to help, like I said, get points on the board, and it acts as another spender. If we need one, we can put coin into Jacques to boost him. Now, we're not going to be getting the third and final form because we're not a devotion deck, because we do have Oneiromancy, which is fine. It's just mainly out there for the points and for the spender in case we need it. And we have Siggy. Siggy's great because he has an Intimidate status, so every time we play a crime card, he's going to boost himself by 1. This card has profit of 4, but for every unique gang category in the starting deck, we're going to increase the profit by 1. So this deck is actually optimized to have the maximum amount that we need for the deck. So it's going to be giving us a profit of 9, which will fill our bank from empty to full in one deploy effect here. So ideally you want to spend all the coin you have prior to playing Siggy so that we don't over profit, because you can only carry a maximum of 9 coins when you're playing a Syndicate. And this is a great new card that we have. So it's called Cleaver, and it has an Intimidate status. So again, every time we play a crime card, it's going to boost itself by 1. However, we're able to increase this Intimidate status for every adjacent Crown Splitter. So what we can do is put Crown Splitters on either side, and now it can become Intimidate 3, which is very powerful. So every time we play a crime card, this thing is just going to climb, and it makes a huge difference, right? And now we have the ability to also pay a fee of 4 to spawn a 5-point card. So this is like one of the best temple plays I've seen in the last year. It's a really great card, and it's very well priced for provision. In fact, I think it might be a little bit too strong, but it's a great card, and definitely something that's going to help as one of our win conditions in this deck here. It sets up a couple other plays that we have, such as the Nilfgaard Justice. With this one here, we have the ability to play a Bronze Door for Crown Splitter unit from your deck. If you already control a door for Crown Splitter, also spawn a Cleaver's Muscle in the row. So this could either help us get Crown Splitters for the Cleaver, or ideally Crown Splitters for the Tunnel Drill. So with this card here, it got a huge buff during the last patch. It not only gives us 1 profit and has a 5-point body for a 6 provision card, for a fee of 2, damage a unit by 1, we're able to increase the damage for each adjacent Crown Splitter. So what you could do is put the Cleaver out there, spend a couple times, get some of those the Cleaver muscles on the row, pop this in between, and all of a sudden now we're doing 3 damage for only a fee of 2. So it's a very good trade. We're trading upwards with this. It gets phenomenal value, and we have so many profit cards that we can just keep funneling coin into the drill and damaging everything. So it's a really good combination, and that's something you want to look out for, because that's definitely one of our finishing plays. Generally speaking, Justice is really good to play early on in the game because it can help us get our deck thin and, play into stuff like the Safecrackers when we have a handful of crime cards, and get that engine on the board and just get a good healthy point slam early on in the game. And then we have Philippa. Philippa's great because you could spend the number of coins equal to an enemy in its power and seize it. So ideally you're looking for something important. If it's like another Syndicate matchup, you could be stealing maybe their Cleaver or their tunnel drill. If it's Scoia'tael, you could be looking for their Gezras, or if it's monsters, you could be looking for their Detlaf or something like that that's going to really impact the game. It also helps by taking tons of points away from them and adding tons of points to our side of the board very quickly. So it's a really, really good tempo swing, and you want to make sure you play that at the right time of the game. Now, Flying Redanian's just here for the purpose of thinning our deck out early on. So with a Horde of 9 on turn end, summon this unit from your deck or graveyard to an allied row. So it's going to keep reoccurring throughout the rounds. Ideally, you want to get it out round 1 so you're not pulling into it in round 2 or 3. So look out for that when you're budgeting your coin to make sure that you have 9 at the end of one of your turns so that it comes on the board. And Furko is great. Furko has the ability to play a crime card. So often you'll see Furko played into Justice to ensure the Crown Splitter a dwarf, to get the Cleaver's Muscle addition from the Justice. But it's also good if you already have that in hand, you can just go and fish for whatever crime card you need, and it's very versatile in that way. And Skewer Tooth's great. This card was never played before. I always tried to find a use for it, but it was pretty slow. It finds really good purpose in this deck. So it starts the base power of 5, but has Intimidate 2. So every time you play a crime card, it's boosting itself by 2. What's really good about this, what makes this card a super good win condition, is the fact that if you tribute 3 on deploy, you have the ability to gain immunity. Now, if a card has immunity, the opponent can't manually target that unit. It would die to like an Igni or a Curse to Corruption or something like that, like a really tall band that doesn't focus on a specific unit. It's just a unit that fits certain criteria. However, they can't take a heat wave, they can't damage this directly, and that's why it's so strong and often just sticks, right? Because they have to have certain cards to tech around it, and most often they don't. So you'd get this out early in the rounds. It also has that Crown Splitters tag to it, which is great. It synergizes super well with this deck. And of course, you just let it grow throughout the rounds by playing crime cards. So it's great. And Gourd is generally a last card of the game finisher, so to speak. With this one here, boost self by 0, but increase the boost by 1 for every special card you played during the game. Now, obviously, we'll be playing a lot of crime cards throughout the game. We have the minimum amount of units that are allowed in the deck. So, it's guaranteed to play for somewhere around 12 to 14 points, I would imagine, by the end of the game. It's a really good, healthy point swing, especially in a short round 3 when the opponent might not have any good cards left when we bled them all out in round 2. So it's actually awesome to have. And usually sticks if we can maintain last say. If we don't have last say, then we do risk Gourd getting removed. So it's just unfortunate, but we have some other plays as well, which is great. And of course, Eavesdrop here is just for consistency as well, because our leader tag allows us to gain an extra coin for every crime card we pay. This does give us 6 coin when we use it, and it allows us to draw a card and put a card at the bottom of the deck, so it'll help with our hand consistency. If we pull into some sort of brick or something we don't want to have in hand, we can put it back without wasting a turn because we have good profit coming from this here. Now, Payday can be used 2 ways. Damage an enemy unit by 5, gain a coin for each point of excess damage dealt. So you can maybe go for like a 1-point token, kill that and get the 4 coin if you need it, or you can just go for that 5-point engine removal. So you have a choice. It's very versatile, and that's why we probably have 2 of them in this deck. I think that's a good call. Smuggle's cool. I don't see Smuggle in every version, but it's in this one. You have the ability to profit by 3, spawn a Flaming Rose Footman in an allied row. So you're getting a unit on the board, which is great. With a deck that has a lot of damage cards, it's kind of nice to actually get a unit out there. You will be profiting actually 4 because of our leader ability, so that would feed in really well to spawning an extra Cleaver's Muscle from the Cleaver. So it's pretty good synergy there as well. And we explained the purpose of having these safe crackers as like that big temple play in round 1, of course, in early on engines. Dip in the Pawntar got a buff. For a 4 provision card, it plays consistently for 7 points because we have the profit by 3 plus the extra coin off the leader plus the 3 damage dealt. So 7 for 4 is actually really good. Now, Bloody Good Fun increases the ceiling for removal because if, let's say, hypothetically, we're storing coin, we have a few coin in the bank, and we need to kill something that's 8 power, or 7 power rather. When we play this, you're going to be able to actually tackle that because it spends all the coins we have and damages the opponent by the same amount. I'm not positive if the effect of the leader kicks in before the ceiling of this card. I might test it at some point to see if we actually get that 8 point of damage or if it's just 7. But safe to say, it increases the ceiling that we have for removal, and that's kind of the principle of this card. And Shakedown, decent card, another 7 for 4 in this case because of Leader. You have the Profit by 3, boost an allied unit by 3 as well. So it's just good to have these in here, and I could see why. And of course, it synergizes with all the Intimidate tags that we have. And then the Sea Jackals. These are some of my favorite spenders since the Hidden Cash days with Syndicate. So with a fee of 2, boost self by 2, but if we're hoarding 7 coin, boost self by 3 instead. So you can just always make your bank so that you have 7 coins and just spend it maybe once per turn or something like that. So you're getting an up trade, you're getting 3 boost for the cost of 2, which is much better. You're using the coin more effectively, and that's kind of the idea with this deck, is to look at which spenders are going to give us the best value. In this case, it's going to be Cleaver, it's going to be the Tunnel Drill, it's going to be the Sea Jackal, and under the right circumstances, Philippa is going to be very helpful here. Now, Jacques, you could see why at this point would be our least effective spender, because it's just 1 coin for 1 point. So don't pump too much into Jacques unless you actually have to. But that's pretty simple. So let's get into some games, and I'll be reposting this deck, and I'll put a link to the TLG meta report in the description as well for you guys to reference after this. So let's get to it here. So for game 1, it looks like we have Woodland Spirit, Thrive, probably a Koshi deck. We have Justice in hand. I don't think Eavesdrop's the go-to here because we have a lot of the cards I'm actually looking for. So we'll tuck that back. Furco's great. Jacques can go back for later. And Boat's just unfortunate. It's one of the running risks when you go first. Or sorry, when you go in round 1, it's just getting that Boat in hand, but it's not a big deal. Might change our positioning in the round. Potentially we just give them round, which I don't mind because our hand is so top heavy. There's a lot of gold cards, so it's not the end of the world. Honestly, playing Boat from hand here is fine. And I want to deck thin, but at the same time, suppose what I can do actually for a good little thin would be Furco into a Bloody to take care of one of those. Even 4, we get a coin for it. Next turn, we can look at using our Payday to take care of the second one. And then we can roll Justice for a Tempo if we want to contend in the round. If we do win round here, I don't think it's going to be from winning on even. I think we're going to play an extra card, but that's fine. So Payday here before it goes too tall. Now, a Safecracker is not really going to get us that big meaty point slam that we're looking for, so I'd actually argue just getting out of round sooner, maybe playing one more card here like a Dip in the Ponsar to get some value from the gourd later on, and that's probably fine. And it's still within reach, so if they pass, easily just play down to 4 and take rounds. With Noonwraith out and then flipping this, it's out of reach, which is fine. And we just take the loss on the round here. So I can't imagine a matchup where Koshi doesn't bleed. They have lots of means to do so. So it looks like we're pretty well prepared for it already. And what we do is basically play Safecracker from hand, get the second one from Justice. It's very simple. Tuck away Gord, it's not going to play for a whole lot here. We have a good quality spender, so I'm actually interested in getting rid of the Sea Jackal for more crimes to give more value to the Safecracker. And this could just be an all-in approach, which is fine. So generally these will play for minimum 6 or 7 on the first. If you're lucky, it'll play for maybe 8 or 9, which is unlikely, but it's happened. There's the beast. So remember, I was talking about this. Really good opportunity to get some value off the Philippa. This just looks like it's our time to spend. This will help us kind of take the round and not have to worry about being bled dry. You want to grab an engine that makes a difference. That's something we can control. And we can continue doing what we intended to do by getting our Justice thin out here. And you want to stick Crown Splitters side by side so that we have that bonded effect more or less for the cleaver muscle. Or cleaver, not the cleaver muscle, but you know what I mean. There's an argument to play something like the Skewer Tooth here. And they're going all in, so we have to kind of respect that. Their devotion, so we don't have to worry about Heat Wave. We don't take tribute here. Wouldn't anticipate the Thrive deck has Heat Wave, or Parasite, because they just want to keep thriving, right? So Parasite's a little bit different of an approach. I think we're fine. There we go. Spender comes down. Appropriate time to use them. And one should be fine for now on that. We'll play everything else on the range row so that we have room to spawn on the top row, because worst case scenario we lose our spender, it's not good. Just great value here. This is boosting like crazy. We have the Skewer Tooth going. We're increasing the ceiling for the beast. And I don't think they get their card back here. I like coin, so we'll take the coin approach. And the 2 from the beast. And we should just be able to get it off a shakedown. Worst case Siggy, but we're keeping card by the looks of it. Because this will probably be, yeah, Spear Tip or Osril. So I think the best way to look at it here is we got get the spend out, Siggy down, and we're full there, which is fine. Boat comes out, gives us the tide. This is the tallest unit, so they did get their card back. It's okay. Full carryover for round 3. Now, they probably have something like Auburn King. and Osriel. So if we can get a Sea Jackal's great. Gord's great. I'm pretty sure that what we do here is we just keep that alive. And I'm thinking we just play Eavesdrop and chuck back the card that we took, get the coin, and spend it into our Sea Jackal. Yeah, Drill has to go back in this case. We'll get the boat out here, then we'll spend next turn. I think this should just be enough to win the game. 12-point Gord. We go ceiling high on the Jackal spindle that we have.
We shall conquer this world as we have conquered countless others.
So I'm thinking 14 points from that, from the Osriel plus the Thrive 2, 16 points. So we'll win by just a few here. And that's having missed some key golds. And for the second matchup we have Enslave, Nilfgaard. Wonder if it's 5 or 6. This would be Enslave 5, so they probably have Masquerade Ball. So last game we played the boat from hand. Let's make sure we tuck that back in deck to get a more consistent round 1 and push for the round 1 win. It's a pretty strong hand, and we could probably bleed them pretty well as well, so let's just focus on that much. Oneiromancy is great. We didn't pull that in the first game. Because we have Oneiro, I don't need Eavesdrop. And 2 paydays is not bad. I kind of like the fact, since we have Oneiromancy, we tuck back Gord. It just makes a little bit of sense here. Safecracker down, get some value. 6 is not bad. And I want to stop this ASAP. It's kind of important. So what we'll do is we'll take a payday here. I'm going to flip the lamp so that if they play Assassination, we're not playing into it. It'll decrease the damage by 1 for what the Safecracker takes. Helga down. That's a problem. Once you see the Helga, it's pretty hard to deal with. What I think we do in this case is we just really try and tempo ahead. Look for some sort of tempo pass, and I think that Furco into Justice will be enough. Then we can kind of just see what's going on. And we'll play around something like Treason by putting a weak unit in between some good ones. And it's tempting and everything, but I don't think we use Drill to get rid of the Helga. I think we just sort of save our resources for later. We have 2 Intimidate engines out there, so we get really good value when we get Smuggle down. That's what I was afraid of. So we got the leader commitment, the Helga. We played this. We're only down by 3. We know they want the round bad. We don't necessarily need it. And I think with the next tactic card they play, plus the 2 damage from the Helga, they're probably going to take the round. I don't mind giving it to them at this point. Let's save our resources and defend the bleed a bit better. We haven't committed really anything, so that's fine with me. The fact that we have a lot more of our good cards and we're not going to be necessarily bleeding them. We could save like Cleaver and Drill for round 3 potentially, depending on how they play into round 2, which, you know, makes it so that if Gord doesn't stick, we have other options. Just good cards. There's a consideration to even play Gord in round 2. It still goes back in deck. And you can see here we pretty well have every single gold that we need this game. This will come out, this will be played. How do I want to approach this? Probably just smuggle. And we get the extra eavesdrop for, like I said, consistency, as well as when we pass here, boat comes out. We have a full bank carryover for round 3, and we still are in good spot. So it's going to be a nice long round. I'm a little bit concerned given the fact that they have a bunch of spying units that are going to clog the board and sort of take away from our cleaver. So I'm going to be very mindful of the fact that we need to play a lot of our stuff on range row and just let that go on melee. These are good cards. Gord here's nice. I wouldn't mind a Jackal. This can probably go. And we'll fish for one or whatever else we need. I think that's the hand. So given the fact that we have an even board here and enough coin, let's get the pig going. First and foremost, get that Intimidate 2. They can't manually target it. We have to be prepared that if they want to refresh leader with Damien, we have an answer to it. So I'm probably going to be saving the payday for that. Or this defender that's coming down, which looks pretty nice. So 7 is perfect. Check it. That's just unfortunate, right? Keeps everything looking proper. It's a good spend every time. Masquerade will eventually chew through that, but it actually helps us keep some other things going. This gets out of control, so we can just play a little defensively here before we do too much. Now some crime decks have Kurt in them for the Purify effect, or, you know, the bounty if they're looking to kill something with Drill. That would be a consideration for me, is putting Kurt. I like it. However, I think we're just fine. Well, that doesn't do much for them. Just place for points. So, I mean, we go with the spend here. And that demands an answer. In the meantime, we could put Siggy down and we can keep it going. So there it is. So now Gord will stick. Siggy over profits 1. I think Jacques goes down first.
The beast shall be born out of blood of innocence.
I want to make sure that every single coin that we have is allocated correctly, that everything's going to be used to its fullest benefit, because Nilfgaard's definitely a tough matchup. Masquerade's always been pretty strong, so we don't want to underestimate it here. Even though our lead is significant, they haven't even begun to proc scenario yet, so that's important. Surely they lock the cleaver and poisons other way around. Okay. We'll see if we can get one more out of it first. So Siggy goes down here. Yeah, let's just keep spawning away. Use the coin while we have it. There's a consideration as well to go into deck for another profit card. But we'll see. So, I want to still save Payday. What if we just float Drill? And just, maybe just spend once, because we can. This demands an answer of another lock. Yenvo is already spent. I'm pretty comfortable with that.
What is it you want? Drinking can be hazardous to your health.
So they didn't do a poison in round 1. If they look for another, okay, that's not too bad. Tactics, you might see Stefan in this deck. So if it's there, we can't do anything about it anyways. We just take the coin. And we just dish it. It's good damage. Gord at this point plays for 11. It'll play for 12, potentially 13. Poison unit, spawn a base copy of it. For whatever reason, that's intimidating. So let's get rid of it. And so what I talked about earlier in the video when I was doing the deck explanation was, does it increase the ceiling? It looks like the coin that we get after the effect of the card. So they're going to be doing a double coup, I think. Which would be 2 more Joachims. So we just have to sit back and see what happens. They need 41 points. While giving us, oh, 5. So if they pull a Fangs, it's pretty much lights out. Leave it to RNG. Okay, so we have a win here. Yeah, Fangs would have been enough, I think, right? We poison out the 13, they get a big unit on their side. Would have been very close. So there you have it, guys. We played 2 games and we had 2 completely different matchups. The first one was a Thrive deck, and it shows us how much points we can generate and how we can keep pace with even the most point slam decks in the game. So that was a great example of how much points this deck actually packs. And then we played against Nilfgaard for the second with a Masquerade type deck with Enslave 5. And this shows us how our control stands up to other control decks. And I think that those were perfect examples for how this deck works. Hopefully you learned how to pilot this deck a bit better if you're newer to the game. If you guys have any more questions, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to help you out. And like I mentioned before, I'll be posting the link to the TLG meta report in the description, as well as a copy of the decks. You can import it to play Gwent and you can play it for yourself. As far as streaming and everything like that, I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, so you can come hang out there. That's where I try and climb the pro ladder and test up some new decks before I go and make the YouTube videos and stuff like that. It's more relaxed, we're just hanging out, and it's a good time generally speaking. So, love to see you guys there as well. We'll see you guys soon.